Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with it this far. This week is all about the unit circles. So up until now, you should have all of the degrees and the radians filled out. If you haven't, please find the videos on how to do so. The degrees is pretty straightforward. The radians I understand was a little tricky, but when in doubt, you can convert. You can just use the formula. It'll take a second. And you're also going to have these memorized here soon enough. Memorizing the unit formula, the unit circle is extremely important in terms of pre-calculus. If we were together right now, I would stress that you need to memorize this as soon as possible because the sooner you do, the easier it is for you. But since you're not at school and any quiz or assessment that I could give you would be done from home, you don't need to memorize, and that's fine. But for pre-calc, you will be expected to memorize this. But again, that's in a couple months from right now, so you can worry about that when you get there. As we do more practice, though, you will get this memorized. You're going to just be able to read off what the sine of 60 is and stuff like that. I also will do my best to share with you any patterns that I find. When I was learning this in high school, I always found patterns, and we will kind of see them as they come up. You might be able to already realize patterns here. So we have 0 degrees, and then we go up 30, a whole 30. You go up 30, and then again, you start at 90, each one of these key points, and you go up 30 more, and you're at 120. So you'll notice some of these patterns as we get there. And but we have filled out everything inside the circle so far, and today we are going to worry about filling out the coordinates outside of the circle, so all this stuff. Remember, the unit circle is it's like an x and y coordinate. So we still have our x-axis and our y-axis. Those are still here. So let me zoom out because this is killing me. Here we go. So my x-axis is right here and my y-axis is right here. And so these are still coordinates. So if this is an x and y axis and I'm just 1 over, this is going to be 1 and that'll be comma 0. I'm at 1 comma 0 if I'm just going 1 over because this is 0, 0. And then if I start at 0, 0, the origin, and go up, I'm going to be at 0 comma 1. These are just points. So I'm at 0 comma 1. And then if I'm at the origin and I go to the left, I'm going to negative 1 comma 0. So that's where that point is. If I were to graph that point, it'd be a negative 1 comma 0. And then if I were down here, if I started at the origin and went down 1, if I just started at the origin and went down 1, whoops, zoomed out too much. Hold on. I would be at negative 1 comma 0. So I would be at negative, or 0 actually, comma negative 1. Negative 1. 0 comma negative 1. Sorry about my handwriting. It's killing me. Negative 1. Okay. And so that's how we filled out these points. So here we are. And then we need to figure out how to graph these points right here. So I'm going to zoom in and focus on the first quadrant really quick. So let me get this all focused on the first quadrant. So I'm going to, alrighty, so we are going to focus only on the first quadrant for right now. So we need to figure out where are these? What coordinate points are these? Because we don't really focus on what's in between 1 and 2. We don't really graph 0 comma 1 half. We can and we will sometimes, but we don't usually. But first things first, we're going to start with anything with a 45-degree increment. So when I mean 45-degree increments, we're going to talk about 45 degrees, 135. These are the 45-degree increments. So from 45 to 90 is 45, 90 from 45 more is 135. And then we're going to focus on 225 and 315. Basically, the radians that end in 4. So pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. Those coordinates are both going to be square root of 2 over 2 and square root of 2 over 2. So if I graphed this, it would be at root 2 divided by 2. Trust me, we're not going to graph right now, but that's where that point would be. And then if I were going to be at 135, I'm going up and to the left. So if I'm to the left, if I am going to the left, I am at negative degrees. So I would be at negative root 2 over 2. And if I'm going up, though, I'm still positive on the y-axis. Okay? And then, oops, I put that at the wrong place. Sorry. Negative root 2 over 2, comma, root 2 over 2. And then if we go down, we're going to be at 225. So at 225, I am down and to the left. So when I'm down and to the left, I'm negative both times. So I'm at negative root 2 over 2, comma, negative root 2, 2. They're both negative because I'm down and into the left. And then if I'm at 315, I am down, but I'm to the right. So remember, right is positive, and we always do right first. So I'm at positive root 2 over 2, comma, negative root 2 over 2. So remember, we're talking about if I were graphing these coordinates, why would I be positive and negative? So we now are going to focus on the 30 degrees. So 30 degrees, when this coordinate is going to be, let me zoom in a little more so my handwriting's nicer. For 30 degrees, we are going to be at the coordinate point of, so for 30 degrees, we're both positive, we're to the right and up, so both of our coordinates will be positive, and we're at positive root 3 over 2. That's root 3 over 2, comma, 1/2. Okay? And then when we get to 60, those numbers switch. So the first number is going to be 1/2 now, and the second number is going to be root 3 over 2. There's a very long mathematical proof for where these numbers come from, and it would take about a week for me to show you it, and at the end of the day, you can use the shortcut, which these are the shortcuts, so I'm not going to show you them. Just believe me when I say that this is how we fill it out. And then it's the same numbers. It's going to be the same numbers. So here we are again. We are going to be at 120 degrees. We are going to be at 120 degrees. We are to the left. So remember, we're to the left and up. So left means my x coordinate is going to be negative. So we're at negative 1/2. And then since we're up, my y coordinate is going to be positive. So root 3 over 2. Okay. And then again, remember, these numbers switch. These numbers switch over here. So I'm going to be at 150. My 1/2 and my 3/2 placement are going to switch. So the first number here is going to be root 3 over 2. And since I'm to the left, it's going to be negative. And then my second number is going to be 1/2. And since I'm up, it's going to be positive. Okay. And then same thing. Oh, I put this root 2. I put this at the wrong place earlier. 225. This should be negative root 2 over 2, comma, negative root 2 over 2. Anywho, because I need this spot, and this spot for 210 degrees, we are down and into the left. So both of our numbers are going to be negative, and it's going to be negative root 3 over 2, comma, negative 1/2. And remember that these are going to switch places. So for the next one underneath it, that's not the root 2's over 2's. We're still down and to the left, so they're both going to be negative. And I'm going to have negative 1/2, comma, negative root 3 over 2. If you're confused, please do not give up. Remember, this is just facts. You don't need to know how I got these numbers. Again, I can show you, but it'll take a long time. These are just facts, so we just need to memorize these. And then if I go over to 300 degrees, I am down and I'm to the right. So being to the right makes it positive on my x-axis, and then my y-axis is going to be negative. So I'm going to be at positive 1/2, comma, negative 3/2. Remember, I'm going down, so that's negative √3/2. Negative √3/2. And then remember, these numbers are going to switch places, and so I'm still to the right. So I'm going to have positive √3/2, comma, negative 1/2. And I believe that is it for filling them out. If I zoom out, we should have it all filled out. Let me get off of draw. And so you should have this filled out. I am going to post a scanned key that's much more clear. So it's going to be my handwriting with a pen and a paper. And I'm going to scan that in so you can check to make sure your unit circle is filled out just like mine. A couple of things for how to use the unit circle. These coordinates, the first coordinate, yes, we do have x comma y. Yes, but they're also going to stand for the first thing listed is going to be cosine, and the second thing listed is going to stand for sine. And tomorrow you will see me do examples with these, and it'll make perfect sense. And then tangent of theta is just going to equal whatever sine is divided by cosine. Sorry, this handwriting is rough. And then this positive and negative will help you. In this, our sine, when we are in the first quadrant, the things that are positive is both the sine and the cosine. Both sine and cosine are positive in the first quadrant. In the second quadrant, since I am to the left and I'm up, remember our x value is our cosine, so our cosine is negative, but our sine is positive. When I am in the third quadrant, everything is negative. Oh, geez, this is too zoomed in. This is a hot mess. Sorry. When I am in the third quadrant, everything is negative. Cosine and sine are both negative. And then when I'm in the fourth quadrant, I am to the right, but I am down. So to the right is cosine is positive and sine is negative. Again, tomorrow we do lots of examples where I will show you how easy it is to use this thing. But right now we just need to understand how to fill this out, and it should be filled out up until here. So a couple of things in summary. The only numbers you're using for the outside besides 0 and 1, you should feel comfortable about how to get these points. You should feel comfortable doing that. And then after that, the things I've introduced is we're only using 1/2, √3/2, and √2/2, just different forms of it. And so they will switch places. This √2/2s will always stay where they are. They'll just either be positive or negatives. And then we've got √3/2s and 1/2s that'll sometimes switch place. And then we need to decide if they're positive or negative. And again, that will come with practice. But as of right now, just get yourself comfortable with having your unit circle neat and organized and filled out, because we are going to want to reference this a lot. So the whole point of this week is just to get this page filled out. And you will see throughout the rest of the unit how important it is. Please let me know if you have any questions.